Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Although this one is perhaps not going to be a normal Legacy video, there's actually going to be a fundraiser and a bit of a game associated with this one. If you're interested in skipping directly to the magic, feel free to do so, but we're going to begin with a story, and I'll keep myself big for this part if you don't mind. So, back in maybe the end of November, beginning of December, Eric L. shot me an email and said, "Hey Phil, I would love for you to play some Pox, and as a holiday treat, I'd like to put some sort of bounty on it. $250 for you, $250 for a charity of your choice." And their employer, said that they could probably match it as well. And as we continued to talk, I started thinking, hey, why don't I take this as an opportunity to actually do a decent amount of good and turn this into a slightly bigger fundraiser? So let's go ahead and talk about the project that I've chosen to support. I have chosen to support the Trevor project, which is looking to build a safer and more inclusive world for LGBTQ folks, in particular the young people. And we're gonna get a little heavy for a minute on the channel. I know I usually try to keep it light and cozy, but today we're supporting something real. Today we're trying to do something that matters. And LGBTQ youth are 4 times as more likely to commit suicide, and suicide is their second leading cause of death. And this in particular hits hard for me living in North Carolina. And while we're not one of the very highest states in terms of LGBTQ seriously considering suicide, we're pretty far up there, kind of being in the rural South. So this is something that I've seen a lot in my line of work as a teacher, not necessarily the suicides, but people really feeling that they can't be themselves at school. They can't be themselves with the people that they're around, and they don't always feel like they have a place to go or a person that they can talk to. And so I'm choosing to support this project, which does a handful of things, and they're really well known for giving people someone to talk to. They have crisis services and peer support that lets someone who is, thinking about hurting themselves get in touch with someone who's maybe been through something similar themselves and can really try to do some good with them. And in addition to that, they're also doing research and educating not only these youth, but people more generally about the issues facing this, both, age and sort of social demographic. And this is something that I care about a lot. You're maybe not going to see me wearing rainbows on a day-to-day basis and plugging my support that way, but you'll probably notice me, very quietly being very careful about my uses of pronouns on the channel and things like that, and trying to be inclusive. And that's kind of how I do things, although I'm a little more straightforward in my classroom, but this is a little bit different. So today, in an attempt to raise money for the Trevor Project, and by extension the LGBTQ community, we're going to be playing SmogPox Bingo. I'm going to bring you a sweet Pox video where you can play along if you want. In the comments, there will be a link to a bingo board generator, and you can generate yourself one of these. I know that Eric L. has dedicated $10 per slide, or per square that we tick off on the bingo board. And you can feel free to do something as well, a dollar amount for each slide, each square you tick off, or if you get a bingo or whatever, you can kind of choose to do that however you want. But I wanted there to be some way to gamify that because, I'm a gamer and a teacher, and this is kind of how I do things. And this is kind of the big thing. This isn't just me that cares about this. A huge number of people are really supportive of this cause. This cause particular was recommended to me by Sheldon Menery and Justin Parnell, and backed by a ton of other people when I kind of went looking for a good charity to support. And Alan, aka Misplay Mental on Twitter, has guaranteed matching for everything that we raise from this fundraiser. So when you donate $1, you're donating $2, and hopefully that's a bit of an incentive to donate. That's not enough. Here's some more. So I have 4 different things that I'm going to do here. When we hit the $500 threshold, I will be raffling off a mono black care pack of fun mono black cards to one of the donors. And at $2,000, one of the donors will be receiving a scrubland. But that's not all we're doing. When we hit the $1,000 threshold, I'm going to be giving away packs from Darmanaria Remastered at SCGCon Philly just to random strangers to just kind of spread some love and cheer in the world because sometimes that's really what people need. And if we kind of hit my stretch goal, which is the $5,000 mark, I'm gonna boot up the stream. And this is something that I haven't done in about 3 years. You haven't had a chance to interact with me live, so if that's something that you're interested in doing, this is your opportunity to get the coveted Phil stream, which hasn't happened in years. With that, I hope you enjoy the show. All right, let's do a quick deck tech and then get this started. Today we are going to be playing with SmogPox. Now, Pox, or SmogPox, is obviously the namesake card of this deck, and you're trying to play a controlling role, and you're really trying to limit resources, hopefully taking out a little bit of life, a card, a creature, and a land every time you cast one of these. And the mana denial package can be sort of supported by Wasteland as well. And the creature removal package gets supported by cards like Liliana of the Veil and Sudden Edict, which in particular has been an all-star for me in Legacy. Generally speaking, Pox is, in my opinion, one of the decks that the Legacy community loves the most. People just love this deck. It's got some old school Magic vibes to it, but we're going to be updating it with some newer tech. And the first of those things is the Sedgemoor Witch Chain of Smog combo. Now, Magecraft combo has seen a little bit of play in Legacy, and the idea is that whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, we get a 1/1 black and green pest creature token that has a little bit of extra text on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to target ourselves with Chain of Smog, and then we can copy it repeatedly by targeting ourselves even if we're out of cards. We can use this to make infinite creatures, which should kill most Legacy decks on the next turn. And then we have a couple of artifact and artifact-based things that also power up this deck and make it somewhat competitive in today's world. That's Urza's Saga, which has often been a thing that has stapled together some questionable decks in Legacy on this channel, as well as a fan favorite Currency Converter. One of the problems that Pox has is it really doesn't have any card selection at all. We're not in the days where you can run something like Sensei's Divining Top anymore. So we're going to have something that can let us exile cards that we discard, either turn them into 2/2 rogues so that we can actually kill our opponent, or maybe make some extra treasures so that we can deploy some of these larger cards, or maybe kick our good friend Turok here. As far as the sideboard goes here, most of the stuff is pretty stock. I do want to give a nod to the Knight of Infamy, though, which is a protection from white creature that we're going to be playing in addition to the Turoks that are in the main deck. I've opted not to play 3 Turoks here because they are legendary and they do have some downsides here. And a little bit of variety is probably okay. With that, since we've already had a little bit of an extended intro, I'm just going to say, please consider throwing me a like before we get started, and let's battle. For charity, though, this time. Okay, unfortunately, my starting hand just doesn't have enough mana here, automatically making that one a mulligan. My opponent's going to 5 cards, which probably means combo. And this hand, as it stands now, does not beat combo unless Wasteland or Pithing Needle does something. I think I'm going to keep rather than mulliganing deeper here, but I am a little hesitant with this keep on 5. Opponent's going to 4. Alright, my opponent's on 4 cards. We'll see how scary this is. Second main phase hipster, or no play? No play. Alright. Now I'm going to think for a second. What I'm sitting here thinking about is what I Pithing Needle. I am probably supposed to either Pithing Needle, Bloodstained Mire, or Grizzlebrand, blind. I'm going to go with Bloodstained Mire. Just try to really limit my opponent's mana. If I name Grizzlebrand and they have an Entomb as their way to get things into the graveyard, it's like they just get a different creature that will kill me. I think trying to limit them on the mana is potentially better. I will be wastelanding them in their upkeep. We'll take that. We'll take that. All right, so that's the win a game one here. Nailed that one. As far as the sideboard goes, Leyline is a slam dunk. Opposition Agent can be played off Dark Ritual on turn 1. Chalice of the Void is weird. It does stuff, but it gets in the way of Spellbomb, Thoughtseize, Pithing Needle, that all are, like, very relevant. I don't know that those are going to go in. The random discard is weird, as is Liliana of the Veil. I definitely don't need this many Urza Saga tutor targets because I'm almost always going to be going for Spellbomb. Which is better, Currency Converter or Retrofitter Foundry? They're pretty similar, and it probably doesn't matter. These ways to kill the creatures once they're in play, like, technically matter, but probably don't matter. I think I'm least on board with Liliana of the Veil of the stuff that's here. Liliana is, like, stellar if I have a Leyline in play, and borderline unplayable if I don't. This doesn't do anything. My opponent's going to 6. Oh no, this is the classic trap. This is a Leyline hand that doesn't really do anything. How many black sources am I rocking here? Like, how bad is this? I have a ton of lands. I have 26 lands. Oh, only 14 of those are technically black sources. I think Reluctant keep pitching a SmogPox here. I'm treating the Wasteland as a very reasonable spell here. Like, this Leyline maybe takes my opponent off of something like an initial Scrubland that they would use to cast a Serenity as, like, being the thing that could answer this. And my opponent also might be expecting Surgical from a Pox deck. Yeah, okay, we're reanimating a Turok. That's fair. 10-turn clock. Alright, SmogPox isn't great. But I can put a Currency Converter into play. And any land can start looting for more lands after that. Alright, I take 2 more. Alright. Come on. Never didn't have it. SmogPox? SmogPox seems pretty brutal here. So let's do it. I'll discard, like, Chain of Smog here. Sacrifice my Wasteland. Alright. Turok not quite triggering the appropriate way. And we'll call it a turn here. So now there is a non-land card here, which, since, like, I discarded a card via SmogPox, so I can go ahead and get a 2/2 rogue and start doing my thing. I'm a rogue. No! No! My opponent conceded before I could activate Currency Converter a second time, and that was one of my bingo card things. Rats. Okay, so we also got one of the SmogPox ones and the turn 1 Leyline objectives last game at the end there. Playing against a Yorion deck, hand's kind of unimpressive in some ways. I still think I'm going to keep it. Like, if this is Death and Taxes and I'm playing against an early Aether Vial, like, that's totally fine. I don't think I Pithing Needle in the dark here. I think I'm just gonna play a basic and pass the turn. I don't think I need to be working towards Mishra's Factory attacks immediately. I want to see my opponent fetch and then, like, know whether or not I need to, like, start Pithing Needling Minsk and Boo. But, like, for example, if I see Esper lands instead, I know that, like, that's not what I have to worry about here. So we're maybe playing against something kind of in the Esper Vial ballpark, and I've figured out the way that I'm going to win here. This is nice. Just go ahead and keep playing basics. We maybe don't want to go for this kill immediately. Like, I would like to do some things that, yeah, Esper, that take out some cards from my opponent's hand first. But, we, in theory, have a win coming. Recruiter is fine. That finds a Solitude. So now I know there's something over there that I have to take out. So, I think it's time to get Urza's Saga going. I'll play this Pithing Needle. Like, not exactly great. And name something like a Teferi Time Raveler, maybe? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Teferi Time Raveler. Alright. Planeswalker Pithing Needled for those of you playing along at home. And I did do a quick just kind of look at a similar deck list, and there were 4 Teferi Time Ravelers in there. So that's not just me naming one to be cheeky here. We're totally fine eating a little bit of damage from Recruiter. So the goal is, like, play this as... Alright. More Recruiter value. Charming Prince. And an Aether Vial. Absolutely. The opponent has... I'm going to get rid of the Yorion. The opponent has Prince and Solitude that I have to worry about. I'm trying to think about my long-term plans here. I don't really think I want to SmogPox right now. Thinking about whether or not I want to Wasteland. I think I do want to Wasteland. I don't want my opponent to be able to hardcast this Solitude. I want them to pitch cast it. Alright, file goes up. Alright, we are getting 6 sick value. Opponent doing this pre-combat because there's not really a good reason for them to attack into my 2/2 as of right now. So Recruiter comes back from the Charming Prince. Finding another Charming Prince. Alright, we have a wall of sick value to get around over there. Alright, Mr. Robot. Another Chain of Smog. Understood. New robot. Shadow Spear for Trample. Seems pretty reasonable. My opponent has chump blockers for days. Go ahead and put a factory into play. I can attack with this as a 4/4 pretty reasonably. I think I can turn it into a 5/5 if I would like. I don't think I'm going to do that here and expose this land to Solitude. Actually, I'd be super happy for that Solitude to just be gone. Alright, yeah. No. I would be totally fine with my opponent getting rid of my land here. Alright, so it looks like we're in an okay position, but I don't really think that we're in an okay position. Oh, the old Gilded Drake. So, this is a very fun trick if you're not familiar with this. So, Gilded Drake, when it enters the battlefield, you exchange control of one target creature an opponent controls with Gilded Drake. But then they can just blink this Gilded Drake with Charming Prince, and everything becomes awful. And my opponent still has Solitude. Alright. We're just gonna try to make a little attack with the Gilded Drake here. See if anything happens. Oh no. A thing happened. Oh my god, it's another Gilded Drake. So my opponent has given me a different Gilded Drake. I guess I don't need to tap that land. That land's technically better than the others. Yeah, my opponent has given me a different Gilded Drake. And then they will Charming Prince this Gilded Drake. And, like, Gilded Drake served as fog there. Gilded Drake seems like really cool anti-initiative tech, by the way. I like what's going on there. Also, I probably don't need this upkeep stop on my turn. That was on from when I was playing Oops All Spells. I very much needed it there. Alright. Charming Prince. Flickers a Gilded Drake. That's gone. And that's Yorion to hand. Alright. The Yorion can hit play next turn. I would like to draw a land so that I can play Sedgemoor Witch and then attempt to Chain of Smog combo with 2 witches in play. Alright, there's Sedgemoor Witch's trigger. The ward cost has been paid. There's another one off the bingo card. I know my opponent has a white card in hand for Yorion purposes. Alright. I'm a mana off here. I don't think I can beat Yorion flickering everything over there. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and start off with a Thoughtseize this turn and take the Yorion. Okay. There's so much interaction when I'm trying to combo off. Okay. No, this is fine. Guess I just have to play this out in a fair way. No, I've got to try to do this both at the same time. Equip on Gilded Drake, question mark? See if I can gain some life. Okay. This is good. Got my opponent to use a critical card. They don't have 5 mana. They don't have Aether Vial on the appropriate number. And they maybe don't have a white card in hand, at least for right now. So, you're telling me there's a chance. I do still need to rip the land. That still has to happen. Alright, just a couple of things swinging in. I think I'm just going to block here. I'm probably not going to get more than 4 life out of this creature. I imagine this is about as good as it's going to get. Because once that vial goes up to 5 and Solitude is held up, I just don't think I can win anymore. This is the point where I think I am comfortable conceding the game. My opponent just ticks us up to 5. Solitude's my blocker. What if I block with this and play Sudden Edict? No, then I'm 2. Arc Ritual could be my top card. Okay. We've, I guess, technically got an out. But it's very questionable. Got a Vial on 2, 3, and 5. Oh, it looks like everything's not coming in. It seems to me like this is alpha, right? Yeah. So let's animate Mishra's Factory. Oh, it's letting me go to blocks. If I block this, how much am I actually taking? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 if I Sudden Edict. I believe I am still just dead. Assuming I get rid of one of these. 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Still lethal. You can get an extra thing off the bingo card on the way out, though. Activate that ability. Sudden Edict my opponent. And I will die with dignity. Yeah, just a recruiter down. Alright. Just out of curiosity. It would not have been Dark Ritual. I think I'm in a very uphill battle versus this deck. They have so much good value. Torpor Orb can stop a lot of that. Deluge can clean up a lot of nonsense. Weird to like board in more creatures while boarding in Deluge, but that feels like it's correct to me. I've also got this pro-white creature that I can be thinking about just to absorb some damage. This is tough because I don't think I can out-control my opponent. They just have a gajillion D 2-for-1s. I don't think my control elements are strong enough to stop them, which means that I'm supposed to be playing a combo game versus them. But as we saw, they also just have like Gilded Drakes and Skyclaves and Solitudes, Yorion to blink them. This is going to be tough. I think I need to get rid of a couple of artifacts. I think I still keep Pithing Needle in because shutting off Aether Vial is kind of a big deal, but I don't think I want to go this deep to do that because I'm already boarding in about 5 cards. Am I smallpoxing? Taking out their lands matters more than taking out their creatures. Liliana Veil doesn't feel fantastic, and I'm boarding in some other 3-drops anyway. Let's maybe try something that looks something like this. As my best sideboard card in the matchup, but 2 disappearing lands and no black sources. Okay, yeah, this is good. We'll be keeping this hand. I think I get rid of an Urborg here. I think I value doing this as quickly as possible. Like I wanna punch a hole for the Torpor Orb right now. I can still die to the little creatures, but we're hoping. Oh, nice. So I get rid of Prismatic Ending so that it can't mess with my Torpor Orb. And then I just drop a Torpor Orb on turn 1. Let's go. Game's not over. And I do know that my opponent has 4x to Fairy Time Raveler. That are things that I'll need to be thinking about here. This is a thing. Just a 3/3 flyer. If I just play out a Fair Turok, that beats it in combat. And this also might get in the way of my Smallpox. I think I pass. I just kind of assume that I end up discarding Turok to Smallpox at some point. Alright. Now we see if we can beat my opponent's creatures without text. I'm not 100% sure we can after my mulligan, but fingers crossed. Please. Please, no. There is the one in the graveyard that I took, by the way. It's there. I'm not supposed to play this. Am I supposed to, like, hold this and potentially kick it? Based on what my opponent plays? Probably. I don't know how I'm supposed to beat this deck, folks. Like, oh, thought that was going to be used to link Gilded Drake after I made some construct tokens. That was a bottom with those. I think I just go ahead and make construct tokens for the next 2 turns, and then we'll worry about kicking Turok after that. Would love to take out my opponent's Gilded Drake, though. Like, from hand. I might not make the second Urza Saga token, depending on what my opponent does here. Going to 4 mana. Be some sort of Palace Jailer type card. Oh, okay, it's Yori into hand while holding up Swords to Plowshares and Spell Pierce. Would I like to kick Turok this turn? Kinda like to kick Turok this turn. It gives up some value. I think I'm into it. I think I get Currency Converter since I'm somewhat likely to cast SmogPox in the not too distant future. Alright. Let's see if we can manage to hit Gilded Drake. We will. About half the time. Come on! Nice. Hit Gilded Drake, Source of Plowshares. And I'll attempt an attack for 2. Alright, the opponent's at 14. Got another way to make them discard a card in the future. Well, let's start here. Venser? Oh, wow, it is Venser. Alright, Venser targets the land. Acceptable. I want to cast a SmogPox's turn. I can attack with both my creatures. And if my opponent blocks, I trade and then I activate Currency Converter instead. I could just activate the Currency Converter now, though, honestly. I can just turn this into a rogue. I think I'm down with that. I think I'm okay with trading for bodies, given that my opponent has a Yorion in hand. Opponent is not down for the trade, which is not overly surprising. So there's the land drop that we knew they had. Oh, they're staying on beatdown. I'm terrified if that is the case. I'm at 12. Alright, so Charming Prince. Gonna flicker Venser. And Venser can either kill my construct token or bounce my Turok to hand, which I don't know that that's profitable. So I think we're going after this. Yep. Opposition Agent. Fantastic. Let's continue to bash in with Turok. Opponent's down to 4. Now they do have things that can block this. My hope that I can maybe get my opponent in some capacity with an opposition agent. Yes. Very nice. Oh, there's Lingering Souls and Lauren in there, Fibblethip. Alright, I guess I should take a snip of this. I'm just gonna take out one of their basics, since those are more easily protected from my land destruction. Oh, okay. This card is absolutely cracked if you haven't played with or against it before. It does disgusting things. All I need to do, get this Venser gone. I'm not sure that that's particularly easy to do here. Yeah, Venser's going to bounce my Turok. Acceptable. Go ahead and make a 2/2 rogue. That blood looks a little purple to me. Alright. So, make this land drop. Guess I start here. I've kicked our Turok again. Alright, Yorion and Spell Pierce are both gone now. I think I just edict my opponent now. And then put as much pressure on them as humanly possible, even at the cost of trading away the opposition agent, which is somewhat valuable. Alright. Opponent goes to 1. They can Venser this token out of play, and then chump with Venser, or, like, Venser the Turok, and be able to block the rogue. Yep. Alright, they are gonna Venser my Turok back. I need, like, a removal spell, maybe? Let's start with a loot here. A Chain of Smog. That's not what I'm looking for. Sort of a Dark Ritual. I will continuously pick this Turok for value. Air quotes value. The bingo card. I have 4 basic swamps, 5 basic lands, but bingo card says 5 basic swamps. Let's find one more. Honestly, I would probably loot it away, though, if I'm being real, though. Opponent doesn't get to fetch anymore. Ritter's very good. This can get something like a Charming Prince here. Charming Prince, blinks Venser. Gets rid of the Rogue. Soul Herder, blinks Turok. Yep, it is indeed Charming Prince. And this will probably go out like I thought it would. Doesn't make a lot of sense to, like, bounce. Oh, they're just taking life here. I guess that's reasonable as well. All right, they're going for Charming Prince again. They're just going to take more life. Okay, they're going for Recruiter. Sure. All right, Wasteland is not what I'm looking for. At this point, I'd kind of like to go Infinite. Like, let's find a Sedgemoor Witch. I get rid of a Thoughtseize here. Oh, I have a package. Okay, I am going to make this land drop and then pass the turn. The reason that I'm making this land drop is that I want to be able to have 2 mana for Currency Converter, 3 mana for Witch, 2 mana for Chain of Smog, all in the same turn. But it has a Plague Engineer. Rough. Can't knock them off of black mana here to do it either. So they can put it on human to kill Turok and then blink it to get rid of all of my pests if I end up going that route. I don't know what I'm playing towards now. I guess I'll take the hit. Yeah, this Soul Herder is burying me. Maybe I was wrong to trade for Opposition Agent, but it seemed like I just needed to fade an opposing draw for 1 turn in order to attempt to, like, go for lethal, but maybe I was wrong. I think at this point I am comfortable conceding here. I'm not going to beat this value that my opponent has going on. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com, which is obviously a deck building website, but it does a lot more than just that. So for example, it can help you keep track of your collection if you plug in what cards you own, or if you're looking to, say, see what the newest precons look like to decide whether or not you want to buy them or quickly look up the cards, that's available in one of these tabs as well. So consider checking them out. Alright, my hand is absolutely a keep here. I also definitely got a couple other things on the bingo card last time. I attacked with a pro-white creature against a white deck. The game lasted at least 10 turns. And also, there was one for just win a match. Definitely missed that one earlier. That definitely occurred. Ooh, playing against some sort of wet lands over there. Sure would be a shame someone resolved a Liliana of the Veil on turn 1. Then had an Edict chilling in play forever. Turn 1 Lily is another one of our things. We can get rid of 1 Turok here very easily. Please don't just discard life from the loam. Ah! I regret nothing. I absolutely regret nothing. But, damn. I don't know if we're activating Lily again. Okay, we are playing against the 8 Mulch variant of this deck list. Otawara. Alright. Lands currently tapped for a lot of different colors. Now, opponent can life from the loam as well. Alright, combat damage. Combat damage is going to be rough here. I have a spell bomb in the main. I can start working towards that. I think I actually play Retrofitter Foundry here over Turok. For artifact count? I don't know. Maybe number of attacking things is more important. Because, like, opponent's Maze of Iths also can be used for mana, so I need to tax them in that capacity. We're okay until my opponent finds Field of the Dead. Actually, I guess we're not okay versus Dark Depths if my opponent just makes it at instant speed at my end step. So I take that back. Alright. Yeah, we've got some issues. Oh, there's Tabernacle as well. Uh-oh. Basically, uh-oh. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that zone. I'll remember they have Otawara. That card is going to mess me up. Alright. Oh no. I'm gonna let that go. Figure out what on earth I am doing with my life. That helps against a future Merit Lodge. We're gonna go infinite versus my opponent, gain infinite life, and then deck them. Only kind of joking. Only kind of joking. Oh, there's a Field of the Dead. That card will beat me extremely quickly. Like, they can pay for their random creatures and I can't. And we're just one turn too slow on the... Oh! My opponent doesn't have that many different names here. There's some hope. Yeah. I was afraid of that, too. Like, I can make a token end of turn, but then I'm just going to end up sacrificing it, so I'm just going to not. Alright. Float a black mana. I think I need to start here. Spellbomb a graveyard. That's another one off the old bingo card. Alright. Burrow's gone. That's real nice. There's a lot of other problems happening here. A whole lot of other problems happening here. And conceptually, I don't have a clear path to victory. I think I'm just passing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My opponent can now copy, like, my Urborg or whatever as a 7th land. Okay, they're going for one of my factories instead. That's fine. No. Everything's okay. Narrator's voice. Everything was not okay. Like, I stopped some big problems by getting rid of the cards that I did, but, like, my opponent has a full grip. My opponent still has 7 cards and an exploration. I don't know how I get out of this. Oh, okay. So now, Windswept Heath is going to be able to make, zombies. As is that Wasteland my opponent just played. Alright. I fought valiantly, but that was not good. Here's the bad news. Against this 8 mulch variant, Life from the Loam isn't as good as you might think. Like, it does stop Life from the Loam specifically, but it doesn't stop the mulch type effects that my opponent wants to just dump into play via Mana Bond anyway. So, while we will be boarding in Leyline, it's not going to be perfect. I don't think my deck lines up well versus my opponent's deck list. Like, my infinite combo is beaten by Tabernacle, and my opponent has a bunch of tutors for that. Opposition Agent is pretty okay. Am I supposed to get rid of my SmogPox because, like, my opponent just rebuilds with lands faster than I do? Kind of messed up if that's the case, but that is what is standing out to me. My Liliana the Veil's also little suspect here. So let's get Opposition Agent in. I think I keep the Thoughtseizes. I need a good portion of this stuff. The 1-drops this time around, I think. Go down some Lilianas. I feel kind of like I'm missing some oomph here. Feels entirely too fair. This also feels not great. Half of my infinite combo. Alright. I believe I am just leading on Factory Shadow Spear here. That will let me do most of the things that I could want to do next turn, while also potentially attacking. If I draw a 1 black pip card like Thoughtseize, and I also want a Wasteland, it doesn't quite work as well, but that is what it is. Yeah, I will absolutely just turbo this creature into play. There is a 3/2 Menace, which will really be a 4/3 Menace. Alright. We Loam? Because if we're Loam, my Wasteland looks embarrassing. Oof. Yeah, Loam plus Exploration is going to put me on a very real clock. Oh, and there's more. Exploration, Mana Bond, Crop Rotation, Mana Bond. Alright, so if you haven't seen this card before, it is a real treat. At the beginning of your end step, you can reveal your hand and put all the lands onto the battlefield. If you do, you discard the rest of your hand, but that's usually not that big of a deal if you are playing Mana Bond. The big thing that you can do with that is put a whole bunch of lands into play at the same time as you put a Field of Ruin into play, so that they all see each other enter, and then you make a gajillion zombies. Alright, there's the Field of the Dead. So, the clock is very real. Backup mana bond, just in case the mono black deck makes you discard one, or take one out of play. With Gate to Phyrexia? Oh, no. Actually, there is, like, one new-ish card that does stuff, right? Like, I can attack this, and Life from the Loam is just a thing. I don't think I attack that here. I think I just go ahead and play Currency Converter and just start looting. I mean, that absolutely helps. I can make a treasure next turn and then put in the ley line. But a lot of the damage will be done by then. If I draw... Well, circumstances have changed a bit. I can still just top deck a Chain of Smog and go infinite. And I don't think my opponent can realistically beat me going infinite. Okay, sure. See if they are going to mana bond and make... Yep, okay. So this is what I meant by the Field of the Dead nonsense. So my opponent will get 5 zombies, a 6th once they fetch with Misty Rainforest. We're just a little too slow here. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's loot. Looking for Chain of Smog. Did not find it. Go ahead and get rid of a Thoughtseize here. I don't even really think I play this. I think I just hold this back. I do not want to trade this for zombies. My opponent can just wait till they have enough to kill me lethal in one turn. Or they can do it this way. Like, this still nets them a little bit. Like, I net lose 4. Alright, this will be a few more zombies. Or Life from the Loam. Is that Otawara? Oh, Otawara's bad. Is my opponent just converting those into... Wow. Oh, I guess with another Field of the Dead. That's actually very reasonable. Okay. Chain of Smog. Let's go. That is not Chain of Smog. I'm going to keep looking for it. That is also not Chain of Smog. Card some land here. Pass the turn. I'm not quite dead. I'm real close. That might put it over the edge. I think my opponent can also wasteland their Otawara, Life from the Loam, Otawara, my Sedgemoor Witch out of play and just kill me that way. Echo of Eons. That's kind of wild. Not necessarily bad. I will take out a zombie. I go to 4. I am drawing live as of right now. I get 2 looks at Chain of Smog. If Mana Bond dumps in some more zombies, it does. Casual 4 more zombies. A few more on retainer. Alright. Last chance. Chain of Smog. Not Chain of Smog. With that, I am dead. GG's. Okay, I don't have starting black mana here. That's an auto mulligan. This hand is pretty medium, unless Sedgemoor Witch happens to be good. Or I draw a Chain of Smog, but like a turn 1 Thoughtseize with like stable mana and things to do later is okay for a 6. Not every hand can be like crazy Dark Ritual nonsense. So let's see if we can punch a hole in our opponent's 6-card hand. That's a lot of value. I have an immediate choice of, do I just take the Ponder? Because they don't actually have blue-red right now to start casting Expressive Iterations. Expressive Iteration is a much better card than Ponder. But I'm going to try to keep them from casting those Expressive Iterations. Like, I've got like Wastelands and SmogPox and stuff in my deck. I'm going to kind of hope that I can buy... Needle's not the best. Needle's not the best. We're throwing it out there. We're forcing a fetch, which is nice if I draw a Wasteland of my own. Like, we're just going for Scalding Tarn here. And I have the luxury of doing this because I have 3 basic lands. Basic lands are good, folks. You heard it here first. Ooh. Now, I have made Ponder significantly worse by shutting off Scalding Tarn. No shuffle. It is another Misty instead of a Scalding Tarn. All right. Operation All the Witches is a go. Witch number 1 is going to eat it to a Lightning Bolt at end of turn. It does trigger Ward, but now these expressive iterations get to start doing their thing, and this is what I didn't want to happen. Like, really? Oh. That jerk. I would like to wait a turn on this. I believe it is worth taking 6 damage to do this, because it gives me a way to top deck an effective kill, and due to the Magecraft thing, when I cast SmogPox, I will get a token that I can sacrifice and still keep my Sedgemoor Witch around. Alright, so EI number 1 happens, and we will see if I get punished by not casting the SmogPox immediately. And I do. Alright. So here's the Unblockable Menace attack for the old bingo card here. Opponent goes to 12. I die next turn. Do I just play another Witch? Drawing Chain of Smog isn't really good enough anymore, because my opponent will kill me in the air. My opponent kills me in 2 turns anyway. I think I'm better off playing a Witch and trying to, like, miraculously do something else that wins me the game. Delver there blocking me was really rough. Flipping to Daze. That's going to take me off a lot of good stuff. I'm going to be 1 turn short of killing my opponent. I needed them to, like, brick on that other land for 1 more turn. I'll take you to 6 on the way out, and then I'll concede. We were in striking distance, and, like, we were going to be able to start making two pests a turn. Such is life. Alright, ley lines to keep my opponent's graveyard in check seem reasonable. Toxic Deluge is a thing I could board as more removal. It doesn't exactly feel good. What's not good? SmogPox wasn't great in this exact situation, but it will be in other situations. I guess Toxic Deluge is reasonable if I do have Leyline in play. Then it's 1 life to kill most things. A little expensive and is dazeable, and I don't love that. I'd probably go down a currency converter. I don't really want to lose life from my own Thoughtseizes. I could board those out, but then I'm relatively light on early plays. I afford to do that. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, counting these 8 early plays. And things open up pretty quickly from there. Maybe ends up being okay. Probably cut the other currency converter here. Keep Retrofitter Foundry for going wide. Either one's particularly good versus Meltdown if my opponent is playing that. Yes? I think yes. Alright, so let's shut off Wasteland this time, now that I have an Urza Saga in hand. Alright, Wasteland. Go ahead. Bobbles, no big deal. Tells me they probably don't have Dragon Rage Channeler immediately. That is a little bit of SmogPox. I think I wait to do that till they start putting creatures in play. Even if it means maybe sacrificing my Urza Saga a bit later. End of turn Brainstorm to try to smooth out their draws. Alright, new land drop. Opponent is fetching and going for a 2-mana. Oh no, they're going for a Ponder. I mean, I'm happy with things that aren't putting threats into play. This probably means that they have a fistful of counterspells or some things like Murktide Regent. But I can potentially throw a SmogPox or maybe even 2 of them at my opponent in a single turn cycle. Swamp Pass. I may be getting too greedy with trying to get full value off these SmogPox, but it seems like I need to be trying to utilize this Urza Saga right now. Another Volk. Okay, it is Murktide Regent, kind of like I was suspecting. We've got some ways of dealing with that. I don't know that I'm going to get to do the thing with Urza's Saga here. It will definitely make a token at my opponent's end of turn, but I don't know that I get to keep making them beyond this. Like, I can just cast 2 to 3 copies of SmogPox this turn. That's probably better. Probably getting currency converter. Did I board out both? I hope I didn't board out both. F. Boarded out both. Retrofitter Foundry it is. I think I start here. It just makes a lot of things that can happen more bearable. Uh-huh. I've got priority. I'm gonna pass priority back. Oh shit, it actually happened. I wasn't expecting it to actually happen. Wow. Okay. We'll get rid of 1 SmogPox. No, I thought my opponent was gonna fight over that. And then, like, I was gonna try to cast another one around a daze. I guess we'll try to go deeper. And try to play a game of limited resources. I think Delver bounces back better than... They just let it go. Alright. So that's bad for me, because it means that my opponent just has another very good threat, and they were just willing to let a 6/6 Murktide Regent go. Alright, there is a Delver. Got a Liliana. That'll be good in a minute. I can make a Retrofitter Foundry token end of turn and start using my mana to that end. Delver flips to Ponder. Sure. Something that I've talked about a lot in previous videos and on the podcast as well is the fact that, like, Wastelanding Delver, like trying to do land destruction versus Delver, doesn't work out super well, because in addition to like being able to operate on a low-ish land count, they also just come back from it so easily when the game does go long. Like, I took out one of my opponent's lands and a 6/6, and now they already have 6 power back on board the next turn. So, like, that's what you're up against when you're trying to, like, Wasteland Delver into Oblivion. It just doesn't work, really. I really need a land this turn. Liliana. I think I'm going to go this route with this mana. Like, I can make a flyer that could block for 1 turn instead, but I think my plan is draw a land, play a Liliana, edict one of these, and start making it so that my opponent is only dealing me 1 damage per turn cycle by gaining some back with lifelink. I could start working towards the 4/4, and that would do similar things, but I'm not really guaranteed to be able to commit my mana to this at other times. Yeah, and this is kind of the nail in the coffin. Like, when you go down a Wasteland land destruction type route versus Delver, and they just cast an EI, they go into some more stuff, they find a land, the land is Mystic Sanctuary, through a fetch land, the EI comes back, and then those 1-for-1 trades that you made with Delver in the early game just don't look good. That's a bolt. They're going at my face. I think it's going at the servo. I don't have an extra mana up here to activate the ability. And I go to 10. I don't know that I can cast this. Like, I edict away a Delver. I'm on 1 land and I'm taking 3 a turn. I guess I can rip a Dark Ritual. There's no guarantee that this even resolves, though. It does. Although, honestly, I think I would let it resolve if I was the opponent. Alright, there goes Delver. Here goes a Swamp. I am getting super punished for boarding out both currency converters. I didn't expect to need them in this matchup, but I was on a weird hand where I drew literally all 4 copies of SmogPox. Daze to Graveyard. There's a Bauble. I don't know, I'm kind of... Or no, I don't know. I maybe just put Daze to hand there. Although if they put Daze to Graveyard, that probably just means that they have another thing. I think that's enough. GG's. Alright, final round here. I have a lot of lands and a SmogPox to start things off. I have some resiliency if we're randomly playing against a graveyard deck. Don't think this hand's too exciting. It doesn't have, like, Dark Ritual to go quick. It doesn't have the Chain of Smog as a finisher, but hopefully we can kind of cobble something together. This Spellbomb is a redraw if I decide that I do need a redraw. Okay. Oh no. Uh-huh. Well, I was real excited about my Wasteland for a minute. Uh-huh. Alright. Uh-huh. Yes. This must be like a Mystic Forge deck. Alright. What are you naming if you're the opponent? I'm naming Urza's Saga, given what I've seen here. Can I name lands? Hold on. Where is this card? You're over here. We're up to 4 cards with that name. Yeah, I'm naming Urza's Saga. Because I went Swamp into Urza Saga tutor target. So like, and I didn't play like a Dark Ritual on turn 1. So like, Urza Saga is a card that you guaranteed know is in my deck list. Okay. Knowing me, Shoulder the Apocalypse is a decent name. Like, I'll give you that. Because they might be an Echo of Eon's deck, and that would be just an absolute huge beating. So fair. There were no Shouldreds. But we did successfully get a 0 for 1. And now I've got to figure out what I'm doing with my life. I kind of want to play SmogPox. Mostly to get whatever this card is out of my opponent's hand that they couldn't deploy on their turn 1. I think I'm doing that, just getting rid of a basic swamp here. But this does somewhat considerably set me back. I don't think I'm in the business of wastelanding my opponent this game, given how much mana that they already have in play. Alright, it was a Walking Ballista. Alright, they have a new land. They can use some of their mana to untap this Grim Monolith. So, my current question is, do I actually want to Spellbomb my opponent to redraw a card? I believe the answer is a resounding no. I think I'm going to get an Urza Saga ticking up and pass the turn. So, my opponent is pretty likely to have like a Assault, Monolith, Mesmeric Orb type combo in their deck list, and I want to be able to break that up. Oh! Legit Eldrazi. Yeah, you can take my Witch. Now my opponent has a 4/4 creature that I wasn't really expecting them to have. Given that, I'm now slightly more comfortable doing this. This just increases the size of my constructs, though, by staying in play. I'm gonna stay the course here. Play out a Mishra's Factory, call it a turn. I don't know, I might need just to have another black source in play randomly. Don't think it matters too much. The Mishra's Factory is definitely like not attacking next turn. This is a little scary. Go to 15. We're just looking to dodge. We're just looking for my opponent to have just mana. Not something like that. Alright, if you haven't played against this before, it's brutal. You can cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. You can pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library. Uh-huh. That is quite good here. Because relevantly, I am making a 2/2 token. So we're gonna attempt to make another token. Uh-huh. Alright, they didn't just go ham with Walking Ballista. Now, I can shut off this Walking Ballista so that my opponent can't just dump all their mana into it. Or I can shut off the Mystic Forge or the Voltaic Key. Any way I do this, it's kind of tight. I'm not super good at making more artifacts, so these creatures aren't likely to get much bigger than a 4/4. My opponent wasn't willing to trade with one of these now, I think because they want to funnel mana into it. So I'm going to go ahead and shut off the Walking Ballista. My opponent's deck is fringe enough that I don't really have reps against it. I'm going to shut that off, and then I'm going to play an Urza Saga. And my goal is to have the larger creatures and try to smack my opponent around. So this is one of the few ways that I can guarantee that these creatures get significantly larger next turn. So by shutting off Walking Ballista, I can activate Mishra's Factory next turn to give both of these +1/+1. And we just have to see if the Mystic Forge devastates me in some capacity, which it's somewhat likely to do. Another Mystic Forge in exile. He allows my opponent to either get mana or another untap on this. Going for mana. A Pithing Needle of their own, which is brutal. Probably going on the Urza Saga here. Yep. Yikes. I can turn Spellbomb into a card, but doing so shrinks these, so I don't think I actually want to do that. Opponent has 3 mana showing. Karn has a lot of options. See what Karn grabs. Haywire Might. And exile a non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. Rough. Well, no, that doesn't matter here, actually. My opponent can use that to get rid of... I mean, like, using that to just take me off a land drop is totally reasonable. But at instant speed, my opponent can get rid of Pithing Needle and then do Walking Ballista nonsense. Well, let's see how my opponent wants to play this. They've gotten rid of the Walking Ballista. I think I gotta go after this Karn. Things could get a little interesting here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and animate my Mishra's Factory, turning both of these into 5/5s so that I don't end up trading with Walking Ballista immediately. Alright, my opponent is taking out my Pithing Needle. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to go up 1 back to a 4/4. I will kill the Karn. Or no, sorry, my opponent blocked. I will not kill the Karn, but I will trade with Walking Ballista. And that's it for me for now. I've used my Pithing Needle. I can't Pithing Needle Karn. And we'll see how bad this turn gets. Did not really successfully dodge. Like, we had my opponent in top deck mode, but we didn't dodge for long enough to, like, get an overwhelming board established. The Haywire Might as a Karn target was also pretty respectable there. Might just be eating Mycosynth Lattice this turn. Oh, it is another Walking Ballista, this time as a tutor target. That is going to outpace my Construct token handily. I need to not auto-yield anymore. In case my opponent goes for this Construct. I can do the whole Mishra's Factory thing again if I need to. Alright, so my opponent pings it. My opponent pings it, so I will go ahead and animate this. Same trick as before. Now this is a 3/3, so my opponent chooses between the Walking Ballista being alive or just having wasted a lot of mana. Alright, they are going to take out my Construct token. In theory, this is a Mishra's Factory attack on Karn. Load of mana. Currency Converter seems better here. I'm going to use that mana to animate a Mishra's Factory. Back down the Karn. Okay. I can cast a Fair Chain of Smog to take out one of my opponent's cards. Exiling their graveyard is now also awkward because of future additional Karns. I think I just want to do this. We'll discard an Urborg. I can get a treasure next turn. And doing okay, but my opponent's very far ahead. Yep. So doing that again. Another Stonebrain. And now my opponent has seen my deck, so it's better the second time around. Yep. I would be naming Sedgemoor Witch in their position. Yep. So we're largely on sad Mishra's Factory beats with Pithing Needle on Urza Saga. I can ultimate a Lilion of the Veil. That's a thing that I'm allowed to do. I'm definitely ultimating a Lilion of the Veil. Uh-huh. Oh man, Mystic Forge is so cool. Not even mad. Yep. Alright, there's an Urza Saga of their own. Currently needled, so they don't want it. Good old legend rule. Yeah. Not gonna nuke their graveyard and give them more Karn target access. Not currently looking at getting latticed this turn, but life's bad. Liquid metal coating. Very reasonable. That can serve as a Rishadan port. Okay. Am I always attacking Karn? No. I am not. Because Ensnaring Bridge. Alright. I will play my own Planeswalker, but I think I'm just dead to Lattice. I'll discard a Shadow Spear. Shadow Spear and Chain of Smog both don't really do anything right now, nor do I see them doing anything. What was that? That was a Mystic Forge activation. Uh-huh. Make some mana. Take some more mana. Take some more mana with another untap. And then I imagine this is just Mycos and Lattice, right? Yeah, that's Lattice. So just in case you haven't seen this before, everything's an artifact. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponent control can't be activated, so my lands aren't even going to do things anymore. Rather than drag this game on any further, I'm going to go ahead and concede. My opponent, like, very clearly has the win secured at this point. Alright, Null Rod here seems stellar. I'll absolutely play that. Chalice of the Void on 0 is probably pretty actively good. And how does Opposition Agent read? You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. I don't control my opponent while they're searching my library, which matters for Stonebrain. Alright, I think I'm going to go Spellbomb out. It kind of sat on the battlefield the whole time as like something that I wanted to have in reserve. I didn't see an Echo that game, so I don't think my opponent has that. Like, I didn't see an LED either, and I would have expected to have seen one of those with how long that game went. I think this is all I'm doing, so I'm going to need to board out 4 more cards here. I am comfortable going down 1 currency converter. I want to keep 1. Having 2 versus a Karn deck seems wrong. And as stupid as this sounds, I also might just play a 2/1 creature, because my opponent is stonebraining my win conditions, and it kind of matters. It seems like my land drops matter a lot. Like, my opponent has all this artifact mana, so if I blow up their lands with SmogPox, it doesn't super matter, and my opponent eventually just finds a Mystic Forge, so attacking their hand isn't the best. Then Edict will stay in as ways to get rid of Thought-Knots here. I mean, I have a turn 2 Null Rod. This is a keep. I will just lead on a Factory, because Urborg turns that into a black producing land as of next turn, and it leaves me with the flexibility of attacking if something gets super weird. Alright, what you got? I assume my opponent is going to vomit a very large amount of mana into play this turn. The hope is that they don't just, like, Thought-Knot Seer me. Mystic Forge is fine. Again, like, it will be very good. I didn't want this in play, but the power of Mystic Forge goes down a lot if my opponent actually can't utilize the artifacts. Alright. So, we've got the Null Rod. And next turn I play, like, Urza Saga and Liliana. And I can probably cast a fair Chain of Smog at some point to strip my opponent of their last couple of cards. Okay. I mean, that is hopefully going on Mishra's Factory rather than the Urza Saga. That will be much better. Yep. Oh, okay. Oh no, it's an artifact, so it can't activate its ability. This is fine. This is actually fine. I got real sad for a second there that they just randomly had that. Dark Ritual. If I play Urza Saga, gets me to 5 mana in this turn cycle. So, play a Lily. If I just Edict this away, and then plus, I can Chain of Smog my opponent, and see if they want to Chain of Smog me back. They Chain of Smog me back, we both go Hellbent, and I have the much better board. Yeah, this is a fair Chain of Smog that I think is correct. Alright, are you copying it? Oh wow, Ugin. Alright, they are copying it. And then I will copy it. Throw it back at my opponent. They lose their Inventor's Fair. Then I'll go ahead and take out the Might. They get 2 life. And at this point, it's my plan to just activate Urza Saga a couple of times and kind of lock this one up. I guess the nightmare is my opponent having second Soul Land and Karn. I mean, them having an Urza Saga is bad, but they just lost their Soul Land that they would use to, like, do stuff with that. So I think that's actually okay. Play this, plus Liliana, pass the turn. And we'll see if either their card they draw this turn or the top card of their library is a Soul Land. It is not. And that's good enough for us. GG. Okay, I don't think I'm going to make any play-draw adjustments here. And is very eh. It has a turn 1 Thoughtseize, which is, like, cool and all, but I don't really see a way that I'm winning this game. And I would like to see a way that I'm winning this game. in my hand. Chalice on 0 is nice. I'm going to keep this. I think the Turok goes back into my deck. Like, I have a couple of different, like, lands that can either be or create creatures in some capacity. Okay. I can just wasteland that. I'm so good with this right now. Alright. Is there a world where I would like to not Chalice on 0 and instead Chalice on 1? I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and make this play. That's off like the Lotus Petal, Mox Opal type things. That's fine. My Dark Ritual doesn't really do anything right now. Go Factory Pass. Very much not interested in a fair Chain of Smog for the next few turns. Ah, opponent hasn't owned their own Urza Saga. That's a pain. I mean, I also will have my own Urza Saga. They get to activate theirs first. They're kind of ahead on that axis, and like, if they want, they can get a Pithing Needle pretty quickly. Ooh, that's very good. So they can plus on my Chalice to blow that up, yep. And then unleash all the artifact. Oh no, no artifact stuck in their hand. I'm always playing this. I don't quite have enough mana to do everything that I want here. I can use Dark Ritual to activate Urza Saga and make an attack with Factory. That may be about the best that I can do with that card. So I will go ahead and just fire that off. Construct, Factory, send in at Karn for 2. I was really planning on using this Retrofitter Foundry to attempt to create tokens that were going to be larger than my opponent's tokens, but I think I've just failed on that front. Alright, token. I imagine I'll see a Pithing Needle from my opponent. Could do a Might. I don't really have green mana right now. Yeah, it is a Pithing Needle. And Urza Saga goes down so that I can't make another Construct token. There's a Petal. More petals. More petals. My opponent now has the larger construct by a lot. I can Liliana Edict their construct out of the way if they only have 1. I might still be okay. Okay, Karn pluses. A Thoughtseize. We're making some mana here. We'll be Pithing Needling Karn, because I can't kill Karn immediately. The Inventor's Fair is a problem for later, I think. I don't know, do I have to kill Karn? So I play a land, I Liliana Edict, I Mishra's Factory activate itself, I attack Karn for 4. I could just go after the Inventor's Fair, but it seems like Karn being around puts a lot of pressure on me. Alright. Lily, Edict you, attack Karn, after no blocks, turn it into a 4/4 for the turn. This gets Karn not out of the way. Once it's out of the way, I can start making more creatures with Retrofitter Foundry. Alright, there's a Monolith. This can only be activated in upkeep. No, it's trigger at upkeep. Oh no. My opponent can't nuke my colorless stuff, but how does this work? When the token leaves the battlefield, put the exiled cards into your hand. Sure. So I essentially have a 4/4 creature. Let's play this. I think I go ahead and plus. I'll discard my Thoughtseize here. When I got rid of a Thought-Knot Seer, I'll go ahead and animate this creature, turning this into a 4/4. I think I send both of these at this Planeswalker and force the trade here. Yes, this is what I'm going for. That puts Ugin down. The exiled card goes into your hand. I've already activated Lily. I will Chain of Smog whatever that final card is out of hand. It was a Stonebrain. This is a strange game of Magic. So my opponent gets another blocker, which I can Lily Edict out of the way. I'm hoping they can't produce another body here. F! Alright, let's draw an Edict. Edict. Not what I'm looking for. I do probably have to, fortunately, sacrifice this here. I needed my opponent's last card to not be a creature. And statistically, most of the time it isn't. I will go after Ugin again. Gotta try to get out of this abyss. That card goes to their hand. I will be wastelanding my opponent. I think I get rid of the Inventor's Fair over the Soul Land, though. I don't want this turning into an artifact at a time where that just wins the game. Ugin is reading +1, log, and draw a card, which is brutal. Okay, sure. Stop drawing creatures. That's a particularly bad creature. Now the Karn is active again, and my opponent gets to Ugin make a blocker. They've played everything out at sorcery speed, though, so I can rip an Edict. That is not an Edict. This is unfortunately a 2/2. I think I just need to put this into play. I am now fighting a very uphill battle. My opponent has 2 Planeswalkers in play. Alright, there's a Karn Plus on nothing. Yeah. The Spirit tokens can also reasonably attack in. Oh, the board is so clogged up. Yeah. I don't think I can take blocks here. I've been forced on the defensive. I'm not willing to concede yet because my top. Okay, I think that does it. I think that takes out Sedgemoor Witch, and then I've lost my primary out to what's going on here. Yeah. With Urza Saga needled, I am comfortable saying that that is the game. GG's. Alright, I probably wasn't keeping perfect track here, but I believe I have checked off at least 15 squares on the bingo board. I wasn't keeping perfect track as I was playing myself, but that means at least $150 donation from Eric, plus a match from their employer, plus a match from Alan. So we're doing a good job kicking off this charity event. We'll see where it ends up going. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Pox is not necessarily a high power legacy deck list. We knew that going in. That said, these rounds were an absolute blast to play, and like this was a delight. There's leagues that I play where like I lose a bunch and like it doesn't feel good while losing, but this was a deck that I kind of expected to lose with in the first place, so like my expectations were in a good place. And despite the fact that I did lose a lot of these, we did have a lot of agency in our games, and we made a ton of really interesting decisions, and that's what I want from games of Legacy. So overall, this gets a thumbs up from me. I'm a little sad that we never drew Chain of Smog with Sedgemoor Witch to combo off and, like, do the thing. But we were tending to win in fairer ways when we were winning, and we were just short of winning a lot of other games where things broke a little bit differently. Generally speaking, a deck like this is probably never going to be viable again in Legacy, unfortunately. Like, land destruction is not really keeping up with power creep anymore, especially in like the post-fire design world, where incredibly powerful cards that singularly snowball a game out of control, be it something like Minsk and Boo or Uro or whatever, with a bunch of cards like that existing, it's so hard to want to play one of these slow control strategies that really wants to just strip resources and drag the game on for a very long time. The Sedgemoor Witch combo like should in theory help out with that, but unlike some of the other Magecraft combos that like drain and instantly win the game, when you do combo off with Sedgemoor Witch, you just create infinite tokens and sometimes by extension, indirectly infinite life. But that's not going to be good enough. So for example, if there's a Murktide Regent staring you down on the other side of the battlefield, your opponent might just kill you the next turn. So I like this deck list for a Pox deck list, but Pox isn't overly strong right now. That said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the like button, and I will update you all in about a week how we did with our charity fundraiser, and I will contact the appropriate people for their rewards for donating. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!